Hello. I'm back. I'm back. Am I awake though? That's the question. The sun is making me look pale. Cool. So today, we're going to look at some paleontology news. Because that's fun. That's the one I want. So we're going to start off with this one. So fossil evidence pushes back origin of live birth by 90 million years. I'll zoom in a bit so you can see a bit better. There we go. So paleontologists study a 236 million year old Conodont fossil from Argentina say they have found the earliest evidence yet of viviparity, so live birth, in the evolutionary line that leads to mammals, pushing back the origin productive strategy of this reproductive strategy by as much as 90 to 95 million years. Look at them. Oh, these guys were in Walking of Dinosaurs, weren't they? Or similar looking ones. Let's have a look. It looks like it. Carnivorous, late Triassic. The school, where's it come from? Dinosaurs, mammal. This is the one. That's not the one. It is a Conodont. So we basically found out they were alive a lot earlier then. Let's have a look. So viviparity is an important acquisition of mammalian evolution, characteristic of modern therians, and thought to have played a key role in their evolutionary success. That Dr. Leandro Getio, a paleontologist at the National Scientific and Technical Research Council, and his colleagues have said this reproductive mode contrasts with oviparity, the plesiometric condition for vertebrates. Guessing this is egg laying. Fertilized eggs, unfertilized eggs. Nevertheless, viviparity has evolved independently more than 150 times among vertebrates. Extant therians share a complex array of co-adapted features such as having a placenta, lactation, and Androgen regulation that suggests that viviparity is a cinemorphy of the clade. It's something that happens a lot. Monotremes, despite presenting some of this sort of having a placenta, so the absorption of the oviductal secretions as opposed to the yolk sac, or having a different having a different type of placenta present in therians lay eggs. In the study, the researchers examined the fossil remains of a Sinicodon, Theotoniscus. Dear Lord, I've picked the wrong subject for someone that struggles to words. A cat-sized crinodontid that lived during the Triassic period in what is now northwestern Argentina. So, as we just looked at, it is the one that is in the original Walk of Dinosaurs that eats. Spoiler alert, they eat their babies. It's sad. Every time I watch it, I'm like, they won't eat them this time. They do. They do. But they make more. It's fine. They examined thin slices of animals' femur and ulna under a microscope. That's good. And discovered a distinct transition in the bone tissue near the centre of each bone. A neonatal line marking the moment of birth. A feature well documented in living mammals but never before identified in such an ancient non-mammalian relative. By measuring the bone circumference at this line, they estimated the animal's body mass at birth, roughly 1.68 kilograms, compared with nearly 12 kilograms as a full-grown adult. So it was a baby, it was tiny. This means that the newborn weighed between 10 and 20% of its adult's body mass, a proportion far closer to that of modern placental mammals than an egg-laying reptile, birds, or even marsupials or monotremes, which produce comparatively tiny offsprings. They're tiny. Baby kangaroos are tiny. Statistical analysis comparing the fossil to nearly 1,900 mammals, 2,600 reptiles, and 780 bird species consistently classify the Asian creature alongside placenta mammals. We show for the first time that live birth was present in at least one mammalian ancestor, this dude, which lived approximately 236 million years ago. This implies that viviparity, one day I'll learn how to say it, among early crinodonts originated in the mammalian lineage at least 95 to 90 million years earlier than previously thought. The findings challenge the long-held assumption that all non-mammalian crinodonts laid eggs, and that live birth of over only once with viniferian mammals that gave rise to modern placenta marsupials. What's a Fabians? Oh, it's a little big. Mammals. Squirrels. Zebras. There's a lot. It's a subclass of mammal along with theriiformes. Contains placenta mammals. So it's basically, if they lay an egg, they're not this kind of thing. But if they're a mammal and lay an egg, like a platypus. So stuff that's not platypuses. Oh, where was I? The scientists proposed two equal plausible evolutionary scenarios: either live birth evolved independently in this creature's lineage, and again later in very mammals, or it arose just once early in mammalian ancestry, with an egg-laying monotreme such as the platypus representing a later reversal back to it. Oh, cool. So we don't know. It is very well possible that this creature does not represent an isolated case. It could be evidence that the general switch from laying eggs to live birth early in the mammalian lineage, but we need more evidence to test this hypothesis. Still, it looks like some crinodonts were in fact very similar to present-day mammals. And it says its study was published, and that is open access. So I'll give you the link if you would like it. I'm going to sneeze. I sneezed. And here it is. Zoom in a bit. So we're not going to go all the way into it because there's going to be a lot more complicated words. And that scares me. But Quite a few people worked on it. Leonardo Carlos Gianto, Maria de los Angeles, Misili Barbo, Ingankio Alessandro Seda, and Adriana Celia Mancuso. I need to blow my nose. Cool, so let's skim. So viviparity, which is birth to life young, is an important acquisition in mammalian evolution characteristic of modern therians, so mammals that don't like eggs, and thought to have played a key role in the evolutionary success. The reproductive mode contrasts with oviparity, the plesiomorphic conditions for vertebrates. Nevertheless, viviparity has evolved independently more than 150 times among vertebrates. Extant therians share a complex array of co-adapted features, such as having a placenta, lactation, androgen regulation. That keeps popping up, and I don't fully know what that is. Defined hormone release. That suggests that giving birth to live young is it's with decayed. Monotremes, despite present some sort of plantation having a placenta, but they still have like eggs. Non-mammalian synapses have regarded as oviparous, so laying eggs, although no fossil eggs assignable to them were found. Only recently the finding of an embryo of a dinocont, Lystrosaurus, in an uvo position demonstrated oviparity in early synapsids. Despite being unknown, it has generally upheld that early synapsid eggs were soft-shelled and thus unlikely to fossilise. This is the end. I hate when they do this. I'm like, just let me read. Just let me read. I understand it saves space, but it's annoying. There is an abundant synapsid fossil record from several Paleozoic and Mesozoic localities, including Lagerstraton and mass mortality deposited. Lagerstraton. Furthermore, some early crinodonts have been proposed to live in intraspecific aggregations and have inhabited burrows. Scenarios that are expected to enhance the preservation of particular eggs, or the parents, never lives, or people, pregnant individuals. There's a single record of perinatal non-mammalian crinodonts, but is inconclusive regarding to viviparous or how they gave birth. Oh, so this is the histology they did. So these are the fossil. I'm guessing the yellow is what they found. Paleontology. So they looked at the bones. Bones tell you so much about a thing. It's amazing. So if you have had a disease, a medical condition, it stays in your bones, especially in your teeth and mouth. So archaeologists can look at what medical conditions someone had by their bones, or if they had an infection, which is cool. But it in neonatal lines. There is yellow is what they found, and the orange is what they dug. Recovered yellow and historically analysed orange of the specimen. So we've got B, C, what K and L. I can see K and L from here. So just, you can see stuff. Dotted line. PB. I'm guessing it looks like the dotted line is when things changed. EB. Can I see EB? I can't see EB. I can see LC. PB, LC. In biotic tissue, it's less vascular and exhibits predominance of longitudinally orientated vascular canals. Cool. Graves. What does this graph? Neonate and adult mass of Cynodonts or mammal we're looking at. Should have picked a subject I can say all the words in. So A is adult body mass. So baby to adult. So this is a placenta. You've got birds. They don't really change sides. So neonatal adult plotted against the decimal logarithm of an adult female body mass with magnified circled areas. It's a log 10 plot. So it goes up logarithmic, so it doesn't get logarithmic. Basically means, as far as I'm aware, it doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes 1, 2, 4, 8. It goes up. In these are 10, so it goes 1, 10, 100, 1,000. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a while since I've done log stuff. So that's B. Any other fun things? Ooh, evolution stuff. The dodo bet. So it was fought. So we got here. This is the cladogram showing the two equal parameters alternative scenarios for the evolution of viviparity and other features as discussed herein. On the right, the traditional upheld hypothesis, so this side, which proposes that otherapity in the excited condition for Mammalia implies the independent origin of, so it's just like, it happened here, but it didn't happen anywhere else. On the left is the hypothesis that it existed around about here and it carried on and it didn't come back till here. Okay, yeah. So they're saying, I understand. I understand. So, original hypothesis is that this creature we're looking at, a cynodont, there we go, gave birth to live young, but that's the only creature that did, and then the rest, and then it came back. This paper is suggesting that it happened roughly just before then, and then it carried on, but our platypuses and friends evolved back into lynx. That makes sense. Trying to get comfy. Try and get comfy, like sitting like a gremlin. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. There's a lot of maths. Cool. So there's a lot of science in that I'm not going to go through now because my brain will explode. But that was fun. Cool. So I've learned things I've learned today. Oh, that's a thing we can do. Let's create a thing. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. List. There's a list of things that we've learnt today because that would be fun. Oh dear. A lot of these kids. Think. So trying to make a little list of things we've learnt. So if I just put list, I'll put list again. And then we'll just update it. I like this one, so customize this one. And there we go. Elements, brand. There we go. I like that one. That one works. Today we have learnt. Nope. Elements. Quite a little trilobite at the bottom, because who doesn't love a trilobite? And then we could put yeah, some nice space. I like this space one. That can go there. There we go. Now, have I got the grammar correct? That's the question. Oh, nope. Cool. Let's download. That is downloaded. Now we can add in. So we add image. Image. Add new image. Browse. Downloads. Oh, that's big. Don't want it that big. I'm not that important. Blushes. Get so much jumps in the background now. And then insert a text box in each one. Improve and stream whilst doing it. Text. Oh, I don't know what font I was using. Oh no. Go back. Comic Sans. I'm sorry, guys. Nope. Text. There we go. Now we can make it select colour. Let's make it black so people can read it. Just I have 2 of those and I don't need 2 of those. Nope. How do I do a line break? Is it? Nope. 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 That's very small. Can you read that? Let's have a look. You can. Wonderful. Boop. And then we can select font. Down a bit. There we go. Wonderful. So that's what we've learned so far. So, next one. Germany famous fossil bed. New species? Oh, go effort. So. Question mark. There we go. So. So, for more than a century, paleontologists studied late Jurassic seas that have once covered southern Germany, believed that only one species of Ichthyosaur, that one, had left its remains in the region's famous platinic limestone deposits. Oop. So it's got a lot of plankton in it, I'm guessing. Observes, so it's it's in two places basically. The same fine grained rock that produced the iconic fossilized bird of Archaeopteryx. Dr. Erin Maxwell from the Stedelijk Museum für Naturkunde Stuttgart and colleagues have identified a second species from deposits, an Ophthalmosaurian Ichthyosaur based on specimens that had sat in a museum collection for decades. That's where you find them. If you want to go, so this is what I learned from when I went to Dinacon. I went to Dinacon. It was fun. I had fun. If you want to like help discover stuff, look at what's already been dug up, because a lot of things where they dig up and go, here it's a thing. Don't have time to look at it, but here's a thing. Here's some bones and stuff, and then you can find it and go, wait a second. It was misidentified. So this new creature swam in the warm waters of the Temperate Ocean during late Jurassic epoch, so around about 150 million years ago. The species was mid-sized Ichthyosaur, estimated between 2 and 2.9 meters, so just over 6 feet to 9 feet. Had a slender, high-crowned skull, finely rigid teeth, and likely fed on small bony fish. Its skin appears to have been smooth, consistent with what has been found in other ichthyosaurs of similar lineage. So ichthyosaurs are Mesozoic, so they come from the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous. that first appeared in fossil record in early Triassic and persisted till the late Cretaceous. The high point of the Ichthyosaur Reptilian diversity and disparity in widely understood to have been attained during the first 8.7 million years of the group's evolution, attributed to high rates of morphological evolution early in the history of the clade during their initial radiation into diverse marine habitats and dietary niches. By the Jurassic, and especially by the end of the Middle Triassic, ichthyosaurs occupied a reduced range of ecomorphotypes and historically were viewed to be correspondingly reduced in taxonomic diversity, so there was a lot less different types of ichthyosaur at this point. The paleontologists described this new ichthyosaur primarily from a small, immature skeleton held at the Bavarian State Collection for Paleontology and Geology in Munich, first collected from the Geisberg quarry near Aptifel, Bavaria. They also assigned a species to additional specimen, one from the Statler Museum for Natural Thingamajiggy, and another remarkably well-preserved individual from the Jura Museum, Eisenstadt, that still maintains its full tissue outline. Ooh, that's cool. Oh, look at the baby. Look at the baby. The discovery of this is notable not just because it doubles the known ichthyosaur diversity from the German thing, so we've gone 1 to 2, but because there's because of where else the genus has turned up. This is only known. The genus was only known from the Gulf of Mexico, which is far away. Its unexpected presence in Bavaria suggests the marine reptiles roamed a broad swath of the ancient ocean and connected Proto-Caribbean rather evolution in isolation on separate coastlines, as some scientists have proposed. Despite the apparent high late Jurassic marine habitat connectivity, the late Jurassic ichthyosaurian fauna from the pro-Gulf of Mexico have been interpreted as being highly endemic. With the description of this new ichthyosaur, 2 closely related species pairs have now been recovered from German plantitite deposits and the Gulf of Mexico region. So, these 4, I'm not even going to try and say them because I fall over English words and I'm English. Yes, find a hobby that you speak a lot to. It works. These findings challenge the hypothesis of strong epidemic in the Proto-Caribbean and suggest instead of similar warm temperature to tropical ichthyosaurian fauna across the North Territories and Proto-Caribbean, possibly showing regional species level divergence. The occurrence of this new genus in the northwestern ocean weakens the interpretation of the Proto-Caribbean region as a hotspot of ichthyosaur endemism during the late Jurassic. Endemism? What does endemism mean? Endemism is that species being found only in one specific place. Makes sense. Suggests instead that a tropical Tertian ichthyosaur fauna was broadly disputed globally. Distinct from more temperate or to polyfauna described from the UK, Svalbard, and Eastern European and Argentina. Does this paper, can I read this paper? I can read the abstract. PDF version? It is open source. In theory, I'm nicking it. I'm not nicking it. Got it. Ooh, pretty. Oh, it's a long one. 44 pages. Okay. Not 44 pages. 25 pages. This is a lot of references. And appendixes. So there you go. You also get this one. Zoom in so we can read it. Okay. So ichthyosaurs are Mesozoic marine reptiles that first appeared in a fossil record in early Triassic and persisted until the late Triassic. The high point of ichthyosaurian diversity and disparity is widely understood to be attained during the first 8.7 million years of the group's evolution. It is, over the past 20 years, become evident that the late Jurassic represents a high point in raw ichthyosaur taxonomy, so that's when it was at the peak of their diversity. Ichthyosaurs, parent localities. Let's look at the geology. I do love a bit of geology. So paleontology, we're going to talk about geology now. Sorry, I like it. Ooh, the paleontological deposits of southern Germany have a long history of commercial exploitation and fossil collecting, and have produced spectacular vertebrate materials over more than 200 years, including diverse Croniacean and aquatic fishes, turtles, and squamate. They found a lot of ocean stuff. There's also some crocodiles and dinosaurs and early birds in these rocks, which is fun. Ichthyosaurs are rare there, although the number of species specimens held in private collections exceeds the publicly available materials. That was knocking. So you got Bamberg, Nuremberg. So you got this geology here, amount of the late Jurassic Bavarian paleontological localities discussed in the text. Phylogenetic analysis. To examine the position in phylogenetic context, we scored in the matrix based on neotype specimen. Phylogenetic. Oh, where it comes in the trait. That makes sense. I remember that. Plane. I live near an airbase. I can hear the planes, but I can't see the planes, and it upsets me. I like planes, and I can't see them. I can hear them, but I can't see them. Sad. Sad. Cool. What do these look at? So, looking at the teeth? That's 10 centimetres. Can I get it to true to size? Do I have a ruler here? That's like, I don't know. I might have a ruler here. Scooting away. Not in that. I have one somewhere. I just don't know where. Probably in here. Maybe it's in here and I just haven't looked properly. I got post-it notes, I got staples, I got pens. I got a box of stuff, I got tons of post-it notes. Nope. That's all my sewing stuff. I have one somewhere. Distraction. Stickers. Yes, I am gone. Well, I've got this thing, which is a mess because I've painted on it. That's 10 centimetres. Cool. I'm putting it on my screen. Oh, my screen's curved. God damn it. That's annoying. Well, that's a lot more effort than I thought it would be. So that's roughly 10 centimetres. So quite big. Quite a big boy. So we can see again. So this is the cast of the other Ichthyosaur found in Germany. Skull of right lateral view, so side view, dentary showing coarse, rigid, and animal. So the teeth, you saw all those lines on the teeth there. Different views of the skull. Navial region, skull roof, so where things were on the skull. Cool. So this is the new one they found. So this is the drawing of the bones they found. Yeah, so the teeth are very much different. These are smooth teeth compared to the jagged teeth the other dude had. So close-up definition of the near midpoint of the snout, showing an absence of distinct enamel layer and faint region of the underlying denture. So yeah, get small teeth. And that's just pointed to the bone names. This is shown in the clavicle, so this area is by a lot of bit complicated words. I just want to see the pretty pictures. Under UV light, the insert box indicates the location of the soft tissue structures. UV light is very useful with bone. Okay. Disappeared for a second. Don't know what happened then. Cool. Oh, pretty picture. An artist reconstruction. So conclusions. We report a second named genus of the Ichthyosaur from the late Kindenberg and early Tophian of Bavaria, Germany. Previously only known in Mexico. This increases the documented genetic diversity of late Jurassic Ichthyosaurs from southern Germany, and finding that is consistent with the high Ichthyosaur in genus level diversity in sympathy, documented from coval logid strata in both the northern and southern hemispheres. We refer to the German material to a new species based on a reduced spheral contribution to the mandibular stuff. Mandibular? See, if I read it properly, I wouldn't know what that is. It's the mandible. Yeah. It's the different teeth. Distinct from co-occurring other one, based on a suite of discrete and ratio-based cardial and postcardial characteristics. Specific gut context suggests that they consumed small bony fishes as part of their diet. Soft tissue presentation indicated skin on the torso was smooth, as in all Bacryocomi and documented as far. The occurrence of the genus Jabelosaurus in northwestern hemispheres weakened the interpretation of the Proto-Caribbean region as a hotspot for Ichthyosaur endemisms during the late Jurassic. A suggestion instead that the tropical terrain fauna was broadly disputed globally. Distinct from more temperate polar things as UK, Svalbard, Russia and Argentina. Thus, alarm's going off. So, well, we have also learned, so copy and paste this. Whoop. More Ichthyosaurs in Germany. There we go. Ooh, not that big. There we go. Wonderful. Ooh. Why there no tiny non-avian dinosaurs? Cool. So we'll look at this after, but we're gonna have a little break. I am back. So, going to learn about no tiny non-avian dinosaurs. So, non-avian theropods. So, dinosaurs evolved into some of the largest animals ever to walk the earth, but a new mathematical model suggests that early mammals may have crowded them out of ecological niches reserved for the smallest creatures. Across vertebrates living today, tiny animals are everywhere. Mice, hummingbirds, geckos, shrews, all weighing just a few grams or less, said Princeton University Dr. Stephanie Leitchie and Dr. Roger Benson from the American Museum of Natural History. Yet even the smallest known non-bird dinosaurs weighed around about 140 grams, about the size of a large rabbit. That means the majority of living birds and mammals are smaller than the tiniest dinosaurs ever discovered. So it does mean all dinosaurs. So what prevented dinosaurs from becoming truly tiny? The answer may lie not in dinosaur biology, but their ecosystem. In the new research, they tested whether a mathematical model of energetic fitness can explain why animal species come in the sizes they do, and specifically why the smallest non-avian dinosaurs were still hundreds of times heavier than the smallest living birds, mammals, or reptiles. They compiled body mass data from thousands of species across 6 groups: mammals, birds, lizards, snakes, turtles, and crocodilians, plus 515 non-avian dinosaur species. Using statistical regression on the data, they calculated the acquisition of conservation constants for each group, generated predicted body size distributions. They compared these model predictions against the actual observed body size distributions for each group. The model worked well for mammals, birds, and turtles, but failed for lizards, snakes, and crocodilians. No combination of realistic physiological parameters could explain the dinosaurs' oversized minimum body mass. This led to the authors to conclude that ecological pressures like competition, predators, possibly from early mammals, not pure physiologically, likely kept small-bodied dinosaurs from evolving till flight, origin, in birth abruptly lifted that constraint. Everyone agrees that dinosaurs restricted mammals to small sizes before the end of Cretaceous mass extinction. Here we suggest that mammals in turn restricted dinosaurs into large sizes, preventing the evolution of tiny dinosaur species. The ability to fly have opened entirely new ways of life. Once birds entered those new ecological niches, they were free to evolve body sizes that simply not been possible for other dinosaurs. According to the team, future work is needed to fully understand which body size flourished and which never evolved at all. We have this unusual situation where the ancestors of dinosaurs could be tiny, and the living descendants of dinosaur birds could be tiny. But dinosaurs themselves seem to be forbidden from tiny. Pre-dinosaur of archaeosaurs, small. Dinosaurs, big. Birds, small. They don't really understand that yet, but the question should be continued to explore if we want to understand dinosaurs and their fascination with biology. Can I look at this? Am I allowed? Yes, I am. I believe I am. Woo! Zoom in so we can read it. Cool. So, vertebrates have varied body size distributions. Among these, non-avian dinosaurs have uniquely large minimum and maximum sizes, but the reasons remain unknown. Energetic fitness models provide a potential explanation by describing how physiological scaling relationships should structure body size distributions under selection to maximise the conservation of energy into offspring. We show that the body size distributions of birds, mammals and turtles fit into expectations of energetic fitness models. So I'm guessing energetic is like how much energy, how big they can get. Moreover, no reasonable combination of physiological scaling relationships explain upshifted minimum body size of non-avian dinosaurs or flightless birds. We propose that energetic fitness models perform well when the body size distributions are governed primarily by intrinsic energetic factors. However, intrinsic constraints imposed by ecological factors such as competition, predation, or ecological niche may also be needed to explain why species body size distributions differ from model expectations in some groups. Cool, so let's see what fun stuff is in here. Maths, statistical analysis is needed. So, the class in its reproductive power. In mammals, the BM usually generate curves. So 800. So on average, the mean was about 100 grams in mammals. So there's around about 800 species for mammals. For birds, less than 100 grams. That looks around about 50-ish. That's a big. I want to look at those graphs in a bit more detail because they seem fun. Does he explain? Introduction. Do you explain? The evidence not by skim reading first. Intrinsic and ejective factors have also been proposed to make predictions of the body size distribution of groups in absence of extrinsic ecological constraints. Specifically, energetic models of fitness based on the scaling of intrinsic physiological factors with body size may provide an unifying explanation of both the positive skewness of species body size distributions and variation in the upper and lower bounds. This model, referred to the BMT model, which after its authors equate fitness with reproductive power, defined by the rate of assimilation of energy from the environment and it converting into offspring. So it's like how many babies they had? It predicts that the adult body mass of species in the absence of there should be mass at which reproduction is maximized. Reproductive power results from interaction between two rates, which vary within body mass and can be described using power law relationships. The first is the rate at which the individual can acquire resources from the environment, which generally increases the body mass. So the more food they get, the more energy they get, the bigger they can grow. Makes sense. The first uniform scaling exponent represents the rate of energy acquisition in access to maintenance need. So how much energy? How many calories burned? Calories gained, calories burned. In their metabolic rate. Maths. So the second is the rate of those resources can be converted into offspring, which generally decreases the body mass. The second universal scaling component represents the rate of conversion of energy into reproductive work. It's equivalent to the scaling of mass-specific metabolic rate with body mass and equal approximately. Coefficient of scaling of conversion rate. So it's how many babies can be made, basically. I'm guessing. So the bigger you are, the less babies you make. However, horses. I don't think it's just horses, but horses. I think they're mammals. Mammals, we can make a few babies. We can make a few babies by weighing less. Graphically, this lies at the point in which the increasing line describing the rate of acquisition of energy intersects with the decreasing line of describing the rate of conversion of energy. The optimal body mass varies among groups because of variation in element parameters that govern biological processes. Species smaller than the optimum are efficient at converting resources into offspring, but have reproductive power that is limited by the relative efficiency at acquiring those resources in the first place. In contrast, species larger than the optimum, this is a lot of big words. Dispute of power. So we've got how many species, how many babies, how much away. Because just Confusion. Where's the conclusion? Where's the conclusion? Discussion. In principle, the body's alternative, like maybe a different reason why. In principle, the body size distribution of a group may deviate from expectations under the BMT model when groups have fewer species or low ecological diversity, or both, thus occupying only a subset of their potentially reliable body size distributions. Living crocodiles may provide an example of this effect, exhibiting narrow ecological breadth as semi-aquatic carnivorous taxa. We find that the body size are generally larger than predicted. Notably, living crocodilians have generally large body size compared to most of their extinct relatives, occupying only a small portion of the body size distribution explored by extinct members of the total group. This suggests that a role of historical extinctions and loss of ecological diversity is causing the body size of living crocodilians to deviate from the expectations. The body size of living crocodilians may have large due to their big word. So being semi-aquatic. Conclusion. I'll give you a link to this as well. That's a big link. I do apologise. In conclusion, energetic definition of fitness provides expectation of species size distributions determined by physiological factors and free from intrinsic ecological constraints. We use this as a framework for investigating macro-revolutionary trends in body size across ammonite groups, and particularly occurrence in upshift body size distributions in non-avian dinosaurs. This model accurately predicts the body size distributions in mammal birds and made evident by this work. Turtles. Energetic fitness models have limited success at predicting the body size distributions of non-avian reptiles. So lizards, snakes, crocodilians, and non-avian dinosaurs suggest that the broad-scale explanation of both physiological and ecological factors, including ecological breadth and intrinsic ecological constraints, evidence of an important improvement to fit the model in lizards and flightless birds on islands. Under reduced ecological pressures supports the hypothesis that ecological constraints influence the degree on which energetic scaling relationships predict body size distributions. The absence of non-avian dinosaurs smaller than 300 grams cannot be explained by energetic scaling or tephonic bases, and instead may be due to extrinsic ecological factors. The shift to body size distribution structured. I didn't learn any from that. I'm more confused than I started. It made sense, and now it no longer makes sense. So we didn't learn anything from that one. That one confused me. That was confusing. Up. Itchy nose. So, that just confused me. Ice Age Toad! Fossil Chinese dinosaur family I've seen in East Asia. I'm interested in this one. And then we can go. Where was it? Where's the other one I wanted to look at? That one. That's a little bit better. And that one, cool. 4 more. Ooh. That one. Cool, cool. So, Asteroid. Helps if we can spell Asteroid. Cooked Earth. Question mark. So, side tangent, went to the National Science Centre in the UK last week? The week before, maybe? I don't know. I don't know what day it is anymore. Noise. And they had dinosaurs there. I went there for the space, but there was dinosaurs, so I was happy. And they had a little talk about the dinosaurs in space and how they could survive if they had a space centre to look out for asteroids. And the dude that was running it didn't know the asteroid had a name, which I was surprised at. I was like, wow. Clearly my daily facts that I think are common knowledge are not. So the Chixie Club impact not only plunged Earth into an impact winter, but also produced a dust blanket that later overheated the planet, according to new research at the Purdue University and the University of Colorado. Boulder. Oh. Cute little ankylosaur. I want to hug it. So, about 66 million years ago, Cretaceous period, a massive asteroid crashed into Earth near the site of the small town of Chicxulub, what is now Mexico. The magnitude of the impact released energy equivalent to 10 to the power of 23 joules, so that's 10 with 23 zeros after it. Enough to generate gigantic earthquakes, mega tsunamis, and form a crater of 100 to 180 to 200 kilometers in diameter in the Yucatan Peninsula. This catastrophic event eradicated roughly 75% of the animal and plant species on Earth, including a whole group like non-Avian dinosaurs and ammonites. Scientists have long debated exactly how the asteroid impact triggered the mass extinction. In a new study, Purdue University planetary scientist Brandon Johnson and his colleagues revisited the idea that extreme heat and widespread wildfires were among the deadliest consequences for life on land. We're in a realm where we might be essentially killing off everything with the first hour or two. This result reinvigorates a decades-long debate around whether it was the asteroid impact or other effects that killed the dinosaurs. According to researchers, debris blasted into space by the asteroid impact circles the globe before re-entering Earth's atmosphere. During that journey, molten droplets known as spherules separated vaporized rock. Geological evidence indicates that the hot vapor later cooled to vast amounts of fine dust suspended in the atmosphere. As the sulfurs fell back to Earth, friction with the atmosphere generated intense heat. The fine dust amplified the heating by trapping additional heat near the surface. Pardon me. Together, those effects would have scored the land and fueled widespread fires, suggesting that extreme heat may have been a major driver of the extinction of terrestrial plants and animals. It probably looked more like hell than Venus, Dr. Johnson said. The clouds would have blocked daylight, So to any animal like humans that don't see far into the infrared, the surface will probably look dark. That's a weird advert. Why are you burning your toe? You would only have been able to see a reddish glow from the wildfires, but there really wouldn't be anything alive to do the seeing anyway, because they're dead. Except for the animals that burrowed or swim or sheltered in some way. It was bad. Can I look at this? Is this a free one? Is this a free one? Maybe? PDF? PDF! Woo. There you go. You also get it. Primary language, plain language summary. Heck yeah. Zoom in so we can all read it. What are we doing now? What are we doing now? Cool. There's been much debate about exactly how asteroid impact caused the mass extinction that ended the reign of dinosaurs. In this study, we take another look at the idea that extreme heat and wildfires, widespread fires played a major role in killing land-based life. We show that the material ejected from the impact flew around the entire planet. As this material entered the Earth's atmosphere, glassy beads called sulfurules and vapours separated from each other. Evidence from rock layers dating to this time show that much of the hot vapour later cooled and turned into large amounts of fine dust. When these spherules fell back through the atmosphere and slowly down the generated heat, the abundant fine dust greatly increased the amount of heat reaching the surface of the Earth. This extra heat would have caused intense heating and fires across the land, suggesting that extreme heat was a major cause of death for many land-based organisms. It got warm. So this 6 pages long. That's short. So, this is nothing new as far as I'm aware. This is more additional added theory behind it. Of like, here's more evidence of the Earth cooked in a couple of months, rather than being splattered. The impact of the large asteroid 66 million years ago produced the crater and caused mass extinction that marked the end of the Cretaceous, including the end of dinosaurs, sort within the KPG, so Cretaceous Paleogene boundary layer. And models of the hours-long heat pulse caused the impact ejecta support the idea that heat and global wildfires were a major kill mechanism for terrestrial organisms during a mass extinction. Evidence that sheltering, so burrowing or swimming, were primary survival mechanisms bolsters this hypothesis. Plant survivors sheltered with roots and buried seas. It is no accident that the only surviving dinosaur clade, so birds, were also the only clade of dinosaurs that included shelterers. They sheltered, they nested, they hid. Both burrow nesters and swimmers, despite this evidence, impact-induced kill mechanism, included the heat and fire hypothesis, is still debated. The impact that produced the crater quickly deposited an enormous amount of energy into the Earth, producing a plume of vaporized rock that rapidly expanded from the growing crater. During its expansion, if I look away from the word, I can read it. Because my brain tries to look at all the letters and my dyslexia doesn't like that. So if I know what the word is trying to say, I look away and just say it from memory. It's fun. Reading is fun, guys. Especially when you do most of it in your head and you just make up words. So thank you for being here and helping me read. Oh, where was I? Calling molten droplets around about 250 microns in diameter, condensed from the plume. This vapor plume, that's a fun one to say, plume, rises above the atmosphere, and after its violent expansion, the plume materials follow ballistic trajectories, reaching heights of thousands to 10,000s of kilometers above the Earth. So that's gone back into space. So space is, you got the Kármán line, which is 100 kilometers from sea level. That is what we class as space. So these went to thousands of 10,000s of that. They went into the exosphere at some points. It caused a lot of issues. I'm gonna see how you say this word. Martian. Oh, I'm getting distracted now. This is exciting. How do I say it? Nope. Google Translate.
Spherules.
Sphere. Makes sense. Sphere. Rules. Spherules. There we go. And that. Learned how to speak. These spherules entered the Earth's atmosphere at several kilometers per second, which is fast. They decelerated, and their kinetic energy was ultimately converted into heat. Note that the peak deceleration of the spherules occurred at heights of 70 to 80 kilometers above sea level, so just below space. Simulations of this process included sophisticated radiative transfer models. I need to say, anytime it says sophisticated, I need to be fancy. Showed that the re-entry of the spherules produced a global pulse of thermal radiation with the peak flux of at least 5 kilowatts per meter squared, which, although much lower than previous estimates, is similar to the Iron 7 set to broil, which is hot. While this thermal pulse would be devastating, especially thin-skinned, non-sheltered land animals, it's not going to start global wildfires. It would burn you when you touch it, but it wouldn't set things on fire. More recent work has questioned whether the impact-induced heat pulse is sufficient to act as a major kill mechanism, or whether it could ignite wildfires. Morgan et al. Strongly argued against ignition of global wildfires based on radiative transfer rock models of ejecta re-entry using initial conditions derived from three-dimensional impact simulations. In a simulation, infrared pulse is negligible in the uprange direction and distance greater than 8,000 kilometers from the impact. Questions its ability to act as a global kill mechanism. These simulations suggest that the KP boundary layer is produced by a lofted dust cloud rather than ballistic transported vapor plume material. Compared to these results, high velocity delivery of impact ejecta on the urban atmosphere via ballistic trajectories and the presence of abundant fine dust would both enhance the ability of ejecta re-entry to act as a kill mechanism and induced wildfires. Simulations of the expansion of the impact vapor plumes and condensation of spherules indicate 44% of the vaporized rock mass does not condense during initial expansion. Due to its rapid expansion, the vapor plume becomes too sparse for condensation to continue. Any material within a vapor plume ejected at speeds below Earth escape velocity will eventually fall to the surface. During this fallback, the remaining vapor will condense, but whether its condensing vapor generates new generations of sulfurs condenses into existing spherules. Now what we're gonna say. learnt how to say, oh no, I did not do that right. I did not do that right. What was the first thing we learned? This is why you have a list, and you did a list properly. Where am I? It's in Germany. How to say Cephalopods. Cephalopods. What was the first thing we learned? Well, that's like today now. Live birth may have evolved only once. Can I can. That's exciting. Evolved. But I cannot spell. There we go. There we go. Wonderful. Let's find a conclusion, because that's a lot of words I've just read. So, the reason I wanted to look at this one was because at Dinacon, Paul Barrett was supposed to give a talk, but he was ill, unfortunately, so he couldn't. And we're suspecting the talk was about this, which we would have found out before this article came out, which would have been exciting. Which one do I want to read about first? Go away. Cephalopods are just fun. Let's do this. Helps if your girl can't spell. There we go. So, an international team of paleontologists have identified a new species of early sauropod dinosaur. So it's pre-sauropods, so your diplodocluses, your brachiosaurids. These are the pre ones, the baby ones. Added to growing evidence that southern Africa hosted rich diversity of dinosaurs during the late Triassic epoch than previously recognised. The newly described dinosaur lived in what now is Zimbabwe during the late Triassic, roughly 210 million years ago. Named Mosango mastodronensis, the animal is the 5th dinosaur species named from this country. Until recently, it was assumed that dinosaurs living across southern Africa were largely the same, said Professor Paul Barrett, a paleontologist at the Natural History Museum in London. However, these discoveries are showing that part of the ancient supercontinent Gondwana was actually made of several smaller ecosystems, each with its own bunch of characteristics. Itchy nose. Partial skeleton was excavated in 2018 from the Pembley Asteroid Formation near Mosango Island on a margin of Lake Kariba. The specimen includes the dinosaur's vertebrae, limb bones, and pieces of hip and shoulder girdles. Professor Barnett and his colleagues estimate that the animal measured 4.5 metres in length and weighed around 222 kilograms. New dinosaur species, like this one, shows the value of doing paleontological fieldwork in remote and often scenic pretty places. So said Johann Schoneri from Johannesburg. According to the team, this dinosaur belongs to a group of early sauropod morphs, the lineage that eventually gives rise to giant long-necked sauropods. The analysis places new species of close relative of this dinosaur, another dinosaur previously found in the same rock formation. Despite living side by side, the two ancient creatures were clearly distinct species, differing in hip and limb anatomy, in body anatomy and in body size. It's estimated to have weighed more than twice as much. Discoveries suggest that we were found is far only the tip of the iceberg. We've already got into one of the species that we've yet to describe while team look for fossils in the region. Does this one give me access? I've hit the jackpot today with stuff. Hit the jackpot with free articles. Because that's fun. Geological. Oh, so that's what I found. Oh, it is one I did little. So, fun fact, sauropods, before they had all 4 limbs on the floor, walked on 2 limbs. And then fell forward. And forever walked on 4 legs. Anything? Ooh. So that's what I found. That's pretty. Do some 3D scans. This is a long one. 52 pages, dear Lord. I just want a conclusion. I'm still going. Ooh, histological. Bones. Bones are fun. Oh, growth lines. Cute. Discussion. Conclusions. Appears to belong to a monophyletic whose distribution is restricted to the late Triassic of Gondwana. Although Musango is recovered as a sister taxon of the sympathetic Mustanqua, these taxa can be distinguished by several hind limb characteristics and possible adult body size. The osteohistology, so looking at the bones, reveals that the type specimen of Musango is either a late subadult or adult, and the body mass estimates based on the tibial circumference shows that it was small-bodied and the mass around 220 kilograms. Although the formation is often correlated to a least part in the lower Elliott Formation in the nearby main Kariba Basin, there are currently no shared dinosaur taxa between these, despite their close geographical proximity. Cool. Cool. So we're going to quickly skim these two. And then my voice is going out, so I'm going to stop. Got half an hour left. Ugh. So, a 244 million year old fossil preserves earliest reptilian digestive system. So, gonna look at guts. An equivalently preserved specimen of Augustrana minuta, a small long-necked marine reptile from the Jurassic of China, contains a fossilized stomach, liver and intestines. Offering paleontologists their oldest detailed glimpse of how early reptiles digested their food. Look at it. Look at it. Oh, cutie. It's a cutie patootie. So, oh, my knees. So, another tenth the ocean. So, this is the second time this ocean came up today. That's where our German Ichthyosaur came about. This one. So you got Lisrana and Gondwana. So Gondwana was the southern in the Triassic, so you got this ocean in between the two. So now we know where it was. Now we know where it was. Cool. I don't have to randomly guess. No, we're going this one. This one I'm reading. The species was a type of Tyrannosaur, a distant lineage that gave rise to dinosaurs, crocodiles, and birds. Despite being only 60 centimetres long, oh, it's a baby. It's tiny. Strikingly long neck and tail. Dr. Wei Wang, a researcher in the Institute of Vertebrate Paleontology and Paleoanthropology of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and colleagues. Impressively, the animal was highly adapted to life in the water, using its long tail for propulsion and its elongated fin-like front legs for steering and stabilisation. Its hind legs, on the other hand, were greatly reduced and played hardly any roles in swimming. It just existed. It just existed. This unusual body shape is surprising given that this creature is not all close related to other famous sea reptiles, including Ichthyosaur and Mosasaurs, that share this method of swimming. In their study, the researchers re-examined a well-preserved skeleton first described 2 years ago. Not only is the skeleton essentially complete, but the fossil retains traces of internal organs, a stomach, a liver, and intestines. That's cool. Photographs taken under ultraviolet light helped the scientists map out ghostly outlines of these organs, including liver, whose reddish tint is likely due to iron-rich compounds left behind by the decaying blood. Their animal digestive tract was surprisingly unspecialised, a simple single-chambered stomach and a short, loosely coiled intestine, more reminiscent of the fish-eating monitor lizard than a fully marine specialist. The authors suggest that this reflects weaker evolutionary pressure on internal anatomy compared with the dramatic remodelling of the limbs and pelvis. Compared with this highly specialised body shape, its internal organs seemed left modified. The preserved organs include a large sack-like stomach at the front, followed by a striking red liver, which traces of haemoglobin can still be detected. Behind is a long, simple tube that had the small and large intestines. The overall arrangement shows that the digestive system of this creature was relatively simple in structure. The fossil is the oldest known example of a largely complete digestive system in a reptile. While today birds and crocodiles have two-part stomach, Oscrogana minuta had only one single stomach chamber, like us. Oh. This shows that the stomachs of Ichthyosaurs were initially quite simple, only evolved later in the evolutionary process, due to what it was eaten. Because Astronaga, close relatives within their family range from large terrestrial species to the highly aquatic long-necked Dinocephalosaurs. The paleontologists argue that the group offers a rare, clear-cut example of a reptile lineage caught in the act of transitioning from land to sea. The discovery of Astronaga reshapes our understanding of early archaeomorphs ecologically, demonstrating that marine colonisation by stem archosaurs was earlier and more extensive than previously recognised. The land-to-sea transition occurred in this major reptilian clade at the beginning of the Mesozoic, similar to more widely known, longer-lasting marine reptile clades such as Saurotypically and Ichthyosaurs. What is Saurotypically? What is this? Oh! Mosasaurs. And Plesiosaurs. Not Mosasaurs, Plesiosaurs. Collectively, these findings suggest a broader adaptive strategy along among reptiles to survive in arid zones such as those in southern China during Jurassic. Can I look at the paper? It seems like I can. This is exciting. Doop. Oh gosh. But let's look at the pretty pictures. Let's just look at the pretty pictures. Oh, it's not. It's this page again. Cool. So, oh, I'm guessing that's the liver. Oh no, that's the stomach. There's the liver. Got skin, and then we got small and large intestine. Ooh, and then we got all the little fishy bones. That's cool. Then some microanalysis. awesome. It's phylogenic. Cool. I have one of his books. That's fun. Let's look at this last one. And then we'll call it a day. So paleontologists have identified the earliest known cephalopod equipped with a spherical, a tubular extension of the mantle found in a shelled cephalopods, pushing back the fossil record as a key evolutionary feature to the early Cambrian, roughly 520 million years ago. Cephalopods are a group that today includes octopuses, squid, cuttlefish, and nautiluses, and once included extinct ammonites. I do like a good ammonite. They were usually among mollusks for the internal architecture they evolved to stay buoyant. Chamber cell regulated that buoyancy through structures such as septa and, crucially, the sphenical, a tube that could be filled with water or gas, and it's considered one of the defining innovations separating cephalopods from other mollusks. But because fossils from the early Cambrian epochs are sparse, because it was so long ago, scientists have only had only a fragmentary picture how these systems first evolved. Combined with jet propulsions, a spherical enables cephalopods to engage in nectonic and mostly predator lifestyle through long-term regulation of their buoyancy. The origin of this key innovation remains unknown, as major gaps exist between the earliest accepted cephalopods from late Cambrian era. A molecular clock estimates placing the divergence of the lineage from other mollusks in early Cambrian. In a new study, the researchers examined 32 species of previously unknown cephalopod species from the Shunginito Formation. Named Ichthyosaur, the animal lived in early Cambrian oceans approximately 520 million years ago. Millimeters in size, they're tiny. They had a straight cone-shaped cell, a tilted opening, multiple internal walls, and a segmented tube were running along the underside of the shell that connected to the chambers through tiny canals. After comparing the structure to known cephalopod cylindricals, the paleontologists concluded that it qualified as one, making this creature the earliest sphenical bearing cephalopod yet found, and representing a transitional step between earlier chambered shell species and later cephalopods with more advanced buoyancy systems. A lot of hard words. Internally, in nature, I have a chance. Internally, the shell exhibits multiple septa along with peripheral situated segmented tubes that appears to bridge the septa through minute canals, indicating that the soft body migrated apiclinally to form successive chambers during the growth, while maintaining contact with earlier chambers via the tube. Collectively, these features identify the segment tube as a candidate for primordial cephalopod. Because its buoyancy system was still primitive, it spent most of its life on the seafloor rather than swimming freely. We don't know what the soft tissue looked like. The discovery extends to the known range of the stem back to the early stages. Cool. No! We were so close. We were so close of getting 40 quid. Getting access to all the news articles we did today. But we did not. Sad. So that's all we're going to learn about this cephalopods thing. Cool. Gonna go. Nope. Just move that for now. Gonna copy that. Paste it. Copy. Paste. There we go. Now a bit bigger. Nope. Nope. Cool. Learn today. So, read a bunch of different articles. Nearly all of them let me in, which was exciting. That's rare. And then this last one failed me. So thank you for popping in and saying hi and learning with me. I've learned a few things. I've learned how to say spherules. There are now more Ichthyosaurs in Germany. It's doubled in size from 1 to 2, which was exciting. That was a fun sentence to read. It was like, Ichthyosaurs doubled from 1 to 2. And then live birth may evolved only once, and then you've got your platypuses, our Lord and Saviour. Went back to eggs. They were like, nah, I don't want live birth. Give me eggs. So those are the key things we've learned today, which was fun. And do this. I'll be back again tomorrow at 2-ish, hopefully. Oh, there we go, camera. And we'll be learning more about geology. More geology news. There's been some interesting geology news recently. One, that fear, the thing that hit us to make the moon. We've got evidence of it in Earth, maybe. So that'll be fun. Do I still have it open? No. So let's have a looky, shall we? Of who to rate. No one in science technology. That looks interesting. Any of my followers? Cool. So we won't raid today because I can't see anyone. But thank you very much, everyone. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.